Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Worth the Crowd podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dougie Fresh. And as always, I'm Joan here. I sound real country right there. I got my country accent coming out.
I mean, the full Kentucky is in effect in you today.
Holy shit. I'm joined here with Jacob Klugas. As you all know, it is March Madness time. So majority of what we're going to talk about is about the tournament and college basketball in general. But we're also going to throw in a little bit NBA, talk about the expansion in flag football, because why not? So what you got? You said you had something first.
Before that, Doug, you're going to do a little blind ranking.
Perfect. I love blind rankings.
All right. This is 1 to 8 in the ranking. Okay.
1 to 8.
All right. Sorry, I did not prepare you for this.
Fuck me.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. It's going to be a 1 through 8. These are 8 new ballpark foods for the 2026 season across the MLB.
8 new ballpark foods.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are new to certain baseball stadiums in 2026.
Okay.
So I'm going to read these. This is this website's ranking, but I want you're going to blind rank these as I go through them. Based on what you would prefer.
Yep.
Okay. So the first one is the New York Mets is selling the 9x9x9 challenge. They are selling as a whole in a case the 9 beers, 9 hot dogs in 9 innings.
What? The Mets are?
Yep.
Okay. That's actually going to go pretty high for me.
And by the looks of it, you know what? Here, actually, we're going to do this in a second because I want you, because you can kind of take a look at the pictures of these and it might help you a little bit pick. So
okay.
Let's
I think regardless of what this picture looks like, I think this is still going to be pretty high on the list for the first one.
All right. So this is what that's going to look like.
Okay. So they're like 12 ounce. Are they 12 ounce beers? Do we know?
Trying to see if I can without giving up the next one. It does not say. I would assume it's probably a 12 to 16 ounce beer.
I'm gonna say 12 ounces because you fit that all in a box. It would be tough.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll say 12. All right, I'm gonna go 3. Number 3 for that one.
Number 3. Okay, so you're saving room for anything potentially better.
Yep.
All right. I want to scroll down and give you the picture after I read off the next one. I want to be able to read these off to you. All right, the next one is the LA Dodgers are selling it this year. It is a watermelon habanero margarita. And this is what that looks like.
Oh, and it comes in like a
little cooler.
Like a water cooler?
Yeah.
5.
5? Okay.
I think that's cool. It's a good idea.
All right. This one by the Arizona Diamondbacks is a 128-ounce bucket of nachos. And it is a legit, if you look at the picture, a bucket of nachos. So it says it can be topped with barbacoa, carnitas, and fajita veggies, and it is supposed to be shareable for a group, obviously. And we from past events, we are fond of nachos.
We do like nachos. I'm but 128 ounce. I don't know about give me a second here. 8 to 9 beer. And then we had
So you had the 9x9 you had ranked 3. The watermelon margarita you had 5.
Yep. So this one I'm gonna put. You buy one, you can share with a bunch of people. It's kind of nice to, I guess, be able to do that. I'm still gonna go. I'm gonna go 6.
All right. The next one is the Southside Supreme Pizza by the Chicago White Sox. So a Chicago-style pizza.
So Chicago-style pizza, it is good, but it's not my favorite. So I'm actually gonna put that
It's also still kind of like baseball for me. I don't think pizza.
Yeah.
Really.
I'm gonna put that at 7.
Okay.
It's not like horrible.
So you have one. So you have 1, 2, 4, and 8 open,
8.
right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. The next one is the foot-long elote corn dog, which basically, from the looks of this picture, kind of looks like street corn, basically, but on a corn dog.
I hate corn. It's going 8.
Okay. All right. So you have 1, 2, and 4 open for these last 3. Number 3 is called the Machete, and it's a machete-sized quesadilla.
That's fantastic. It's going to be hard to eat.
By the Miami Marlins. By the way, the corn dog was also by the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that's the second one from them.
So they're really going after some new foods.
Yeah, so the machete is by the Miami Marlins, and it's, like I said, a machete-sized quesadilla. And if you look off to the side here, I mean, look at the box this thing comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it looks legit. If they cut it, it doesn't look like they cut it, but if they cut it for you in like
It also could have
chunks,
just been for a picture that they
yeah, if
just
they cut it in chunks, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna put this at 2. I like
two. All right,
I like
we have
quesadilla.
1 and 4 open, and I got a feeling I know what your number 1 is on this based on these last two. Because I think the last one on this list you're really gonna like potentially.
Well, why'd you tell me that? It's not blind then.
I'm just saying, because
go
this
ahead.
next one, I mean, you could put this next one number 1.
Okay, come on.
Number 2 is going to be, it's by the Arizona Diamondbacks, their third one on this list. It's called the Take Me Out to the Ball Game Shake.
Oh, I'm not a big sweet eater. This is 4.
So it's topped with whipped cream, Cracker Jacks, Kit Kats, and Nutter Butter.
Yeah, no, that's not my alley. That's gonna go 4.
All right, and then the last one is by the Chicago Cubs.
Is it
it's
a dog?
Chicken and churros.
Oh, that's gonna be fire. Yep, that's fine with me. Let's put that at 1. What a great idea.
Chicken and churros. So it says, as someone who has a hard time resisting your urge to order chicken and waffles on the menu, I would definitely have to pull the trigger on a twist of chicken and churros. Deep fried chicken thighs paired with a churro. So it's a chicken thigh.
Well, even better. Yeah,
mixed with a churro.
Totally fine with this list.
Drizzled in ancho syrup and served with strawberries.
Yeah, that shake was too sugary. Like, this is sweet, but it's not like, but it's savory too, which I like.
The chicken kind of saves it.
Yeah, but that's too much. I mean,
I agree. And I like shakes. I'm a big shake person, but this is way too much going on.
Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when I looked at this, I think my number 1 would have been the chicken and churros. Well, probably my number 1 would probably be the 9x9x9 challenge, just because.
Yeah, because I've always wanted to do that. If you wouldn't have put that first, which I know that's why you did that, I probably would have put that at 1 because it's been a challenge I think we both wanted it to do.
Yeah.
For a while. So, but if I had to change something else, I'd put the shake lower.
Yeah, I feel like this for you, the shake would probably be number 8, and then you would probably even or maybe
corn.
7. The corn would probably be 8, and then the shake would be 7.
Move everything up.
Yeah,
move everything up and move the shake to 7. Yep.
All right,
sweet. That's a lot of new food though. Arizona Diamondbacks just out there.
They just said, "Hey,
marketing team's going crazy."
Yeah, I mean, hey, they're trying to get people into the stands, I guess.
Yeah, it's work. I guess it might work. We'll see.
So. All right. Well, with that being said, let's move into the NCAA tournament. Before we move on, every year we do, part of the reason why we're recording a day later than what we usually do is because we wanted to get through the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, so we can get into the Sweet 16, because every year we do the ESPN second chance bracket from the Sweet 16 on. Now, I will say, Doug, our bracket was doing so well prior to yesterday.
Well, Florida kind of fucked everybody.
Yeah, Florida messed us up. I mean, Florida took out a Final Four team and a national championship team in the the game. We picked Arizona, obviously, but we picked them to play against Florida. And yeah, so I mean that knocked out a lot. But prior to yesterday, we were sitting in the 99.8 percentile. We were doing really, really good. Iowa over Florida, obviously, like we just said, really messed us up. Virginia losing to Tennessee messed us up. Yeah, and I mean, it was, like I said, we were sitting really good. Miami losing yesterday really messed us up. So we were sitting really good up until yesterday. But with saying that, I mean, here's my thing. People immediately go to all because we don't have, like, let's just say like this year, we don't have a High Point or somebody in the Sweet 16, that they're just like, see, NIL has just killed college basketball and everything. And I'm like, we have still had, like, Texas being in the Sweet 16 is a shocking thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team, but yeah, you're right.
Like, Texas was a play-in team. They had to play a play-in against NC State to get in, and now they're in the Sweet 16. That's shocking. Like, I get it. It's not your small school that you want. It's a big name, SEC school, but that's still shocking.
Yeah.
Like, even High Point beating Wisconsin in round 1 and then pushing Arkansas to its limits, still a very shocking game in an outcome. I mean, and really outside of that, Iowa beating Florida.
I mean, I was going to say Iowa beating Florida as one.
Yeah, I was still scrolling down the bracket. I mean, even Tennessee beating Virginia. We were talking about last week while we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Tennessee losing round 1 because we were like, Tennessee's just been so up and down this year that I can't trust them. But now they're playing in the Sweet 16.
Welcome to March.
So, I mean, don't give me this NIL's killed the tournament. It hasn't. And also, I understand we all love a Cinderella, but at the end of the day, I want the best tournament possible. And if that means the best teams moving on, so be it.
Yeah, and like I feel like NIL and basketball is it's quite different than obviously in football. Like these smaller schools, these, even once you call them like mid-major, these smaller conferences, they still have money they can pay, like give players. I mean, we're seeing some good players play for these smaller schools now. I think NIL is going kind of both ways. Yeah, your bigger schools have more money to pay your top players, but I think you're seeing other players go to these smaller schools too, and they're still making money.
Well, yeah, and the best part of that whole scenario is I'll go back to mid 2000s, let's just say. These players at High Point, schools like High Point and all that would have breakout games in the NCAA tournament, there was no option to transfer. So they're stuck at these little schools and they maybe don't necessarily go recognized.
Right.
For as far as NBA or anything like that goes. Now they have a great NCAA tournament. Now they got North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky calling them because they're like, yo, we saw what you did in the tournament. Would you like to come do it here? And now there's an opportunity for them that wasn't there for them 20 years ago.
Yeah, and these guys, 100%. I think that's, people need to chill out on this stuff a little bit. I mean, there needs to be regulations on it for sure.
For sure.
Which is a whole different topic we'll probably cover later down the road. But I mean, yeah, people need to chill out. This honestly has been a very exciting March Madness so far. So, and we're still got a lot of basketball to play.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like, my thing is, the way that this has gone for coaches, like forever, if you've had a team like, I keep using High Point, but like High Point, like where they make a run like this, their coaches get promoted to the big name schools. So why can't the players get the same opportunity?
And they will. Some of them will.
So, all right. Now, in saying that, both of our teams, being Kentucky and Louisville, lost in the round of 32.
Which we predicted.
Yeah, correct. Well, to be fair, you predicted Louisville to lose in round one, which I talked you out of. And then vice versa. I predicted Kentucky to lose in round one, and you talked me out of.
One was a lot closer than the other.
Yeah. So, Doug, I'll let you start. Where does Louisville go from here? What needs to happen?
Oh God, I think I'm just going to give you my forecast of what I think really is going to happen next year. I'm going to give you my forecast of what I think is going to happen. Then I'm going to tell you what probably should happen. So I think Pat Kellis is going to do exactly what he's done this year, but I think you're going to see him clean house a little bit. We got a lot of people moving on, and there's only going to be a small number of players that come back next year. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe. But honestly, I don't know how much changes he's going to go off of. I've heard that he's a very analytical coach, and he goes and his philosophy is based on that, on the data, which is why they shoot so many threes. And I think it's going to be the same. I kind of think it's going to be the same thing, I'll be honest. But what should happen is that he's going to have to change his philosophy on, you got to have a front court presence. You got to have somebody who can protect the rim and has some sort of a fucking post game. Good God. Our guards were not the problem this year. Even with Michael out, Conwell was one of the better scorers in the country still. And McNeely, he kind of turned it on in the tournament, but good. He was kind of a bust. But this whole season was a little weird anyway, just because of the whole Michael Brown situation. But they have to change that front court mentality. They need to get some big guys in there who can play in the post. And then the coaching staff is the next piece that needs to change. I understand the loyalty you have to your guys from the mid-major programs, but the point of having a great staff at a what's widely considered as a blue blood school, and where the tradition and the standard is higher than every other school that you can think of in our eyes, is you got to have coaches who can develop players. And that clearly our front court was not developing, and the guards kind of were the same all year. That I feel like there wasn't much different from the beginning of the year other than Michael Brown not playing. So that has to change. He's going to have to change coaches. He's going to have to go get coaches who can develop players. He's going to have to spend some money on a better coaching staff. And then to me, if you're going to go with the whole, you got to obviously got to recruit, but nowadays, man, you got to have athleticism and defensive mindset. Our defense was horrible. It's not like horrible. Like I said, man, I'm just a little upset with it, but it wasn't like horrible. But they need to work on their defense. And to be a better defensive team, you have to have better athletes and a little more length. So I think he has to maybe go out and maybe get less of a bunch of shooters, have like 1 or 2 shooters, and then more athleticism around those shooters who can get up, grab a rebound, play defense on multiple positions, and let your shooters be your shooters. And then the last piece I'll say is that I really think if you're going to have your leader on your team, obviously he's going to be your point guard, right? Should be one of them. It can't be a true freshman like Michael Brown. Clearly, and he wasn't ready for that role, and he clearly was not ready physically for college basketball. You got to go get a veteran guy out there. That's why Chucky Hepburn was so loved, because he did everything and left it all out there. He was ready to pretty much down that court for Louisville. These freshmen aren't ready to do that. They don't know what that's about yet. So to me, if you're going to go get a leader out there who's for your point guard position, it has to be somebody with some experience. I think.
Well, and we said when we went, because we went and saw Michael Brown because he played in that little tournament at Fern Creek High School. Yeah. You know, as good as he was, and we knew that he was, we even said, like, watching him in person, we were like, he's going to have to put on some muscle.
And I don't think that's his problem. He also grew 3 inches or whatever from when we saw him there. He's 6'5" now. He was last time we saw him play, he was like 6'2". So that also helps him. But I think he has put on muscle. He's got an injury apparently that is going to keep nagging the more he plays. So he's either going to have to figure out a permanent solution, which probably was going to require surgery of some sort, or he's going to have to tough it out. I'm thinking that I'm almost in the back of my head. I'm thinking that they weren't completely 100% true with his injury. And I think it was a lot worse than people are saying it is. And there's doctors telling him you can't play or you're going to be seriously hurt for a long time. And they didn't, probably for Michael's NBA aspirations, they decided to keep that private.
But the only problem with doing that is eventually they are going to find out.
Well, they're going to find out. But I think they're going to try and get that fixed before that happens. Because honestly, if he doesn't get that fixed, how does he keep playing anywhere?
Well, even if they get it fixed before that time comes, they're going to get all his medical reports from the time he was, because they're going to ask about those. They're going to ask.
He's going to be under a microscope.
Like, regardless if they, let's just say if he gets cleared by a doctor 100% before, let's just say the combine, when that combine comes out, if you don't think those GMs and those scouts and everything aren't going to get a hold of those original, test results and everything and see that, they're mistaken. They're going to see that regardless.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because really, though, he's out there practicing and shooting around and all that, which is a bad look on him and his team and for his dad and like his people and for Louisville. Because these fans are looking at this like, why is this dude not fucking playing? If he's that hurt, he needs to go sit down. Why are you out there shooting around in layup lines and doing everything that the players are doing, but you're just not playing in a game? What are we doing here? And we're paying you. You're probably our top paid player. So get your ass out there and play. I mean,
Trust me, I just watched us pay $2 million to Jaden Quaitons to play all of 20 minutes this year.
Yeah, that sucks. And that is the bad part of NIL. Like, that's where the regulations have to come in. There's got to be
some kind of game or minutes restrictions on these.
Something, man. I mean,
I
know injuries happen, but geez.
To ensure that they're at least playing.
Yeah, they can give it. This is going to have to be like an NBA, NFL, any of these contracts you have to have guaranteed money.
Yeah, you can do like you can have your $2 million that we're going to give you. That could be your guaranteed. But I'm just you got to throw the incentives in there. Like, if you play 15 plus games, you get this much extra. No, you play 20 games, you get this much extra.
It can't be like that. That has to be included in that $2 million.
You're not gonna be able to do that, unfortunately.
Why?
Because there's got to be guaranteed money, and
they can guarantee you $500,000 if you only play half the games.
Yeah, but unfortunately, then for better or for worse, whatever the case may be, in that situation, they're just gonna go elsewhere because somebody's gonna give them that money.
Okay?
Like I said, but
what I'm saying is that's where the regulations have to be in play. You have this set amount you want to give this player, but out of that set amount, they have to do this, and this before they get that set amount. And if they don't, but here's your guaranteed, $750,000 that you will get, but we need you to play for our team. This isn't like any other contract with professionals.
No, that's what I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, for better or for worse, there's going to be, because they're not going to be able to make that an NCAA wide thing. That's going to be based off whatever the school wants to do. So that's what I'm saying. For better or for worse, that's players just going to go elsewhere to another school that is going to give them the $2 million and do the incentives elsewhere.
I don't know. We can talk about, but the NIL conversation we could talk about forever. Because it's all jack the fuck up. But That's my take on Louisville. I think the fans express my frustration as well, because I think Kelsey had some bad takes this year on like when the media and stuff like that. I think he's feeling the stress a little bit, because I think he knows that, if this, I know even the second round of the tournament, which I know has been a lot better than we've been in the past, 7 years or whatever. But the standard is still the standard we're at Louisville. So, I mean, he's going to have to eventually make it past, the first round for second round. I mean, eventually, that you have to keep building. If you don't make it past the second round next year, that they're going to start asking questions.
Yeah. I know you had a lot of seniors or like we talked about Michael Brown, who's probably going to the draft. But is there anybody from this team that you think returns? Like, I know Kenai Roos and Woolley were
Maybe
both
Woolley,
sophomores, right? You think Roos
Woolley
transfers?
and huh?
I was saying, do you think Kenai Roos transfers?
I think he is a possibility because he didn't play much.
Okay. I know the
think
rest of them were
Woolley is really
seniors.
he was our most improved player. Besides, I mean, I think Zugaris gave us some pretty good minutes, and I think he comes back. Farouk could come back. But if they start going out wanting to get, top guys for a front court, then some of these guys will transfer. But I think your definite is probably Woolley. And then you have like your other guys who've redshirt this year. Who's ever the G League guy? He's going to come. He's going to play next year. Like these guys are on the roster right now.
London Johnson.
London Johnson will come and play. Ara, who redshirted this year, he's going to come play. So there'll be like 2 or 3 guys that'll come back, maybe 4, but it's not going to be a lot. And there's where that's to a lot of transferring. So.
Yeah. So from the Kentucky side, I mean, listen, unfortunately, Pope's going to get another year.
Unfortunately.
And I think next year is going to be, well, I think he's going to get it just because, he is still new. It's only his second year. But they're going to hire this new AD, and whoever the new athletic director is, which God help us all, it's not who I think it is. But this AD is going to come in with the mindset. It's kind of like similar to, when the NBA, if a team hires a new GM, or the NFL, if a team hires a new GM, well, I didn't hire you, so I have no ties to you. So they're going to give this person one more year. They're going to give Pope one more year. If there's no either signs of life, or, we don't make a deep tournament run, at least to the Sweet 16 or an Elite 8 next year, Pope's going to go. And they're going to, try to at least open up the checkbook for somebody to come in. The problem is they made comments this past week about making, what is the name of the let's see, what's his name? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, Eli Capilouto, the president of Kentucky, came out this week talking about budget cuts, and that's not a good sign if you're Kentucky sports in general, especially basketball, especially when you went out and I'll say it flat out, when you wasted $22 million on this roster, that's not a good sign. Mm-hmm. And then Pope made comments after the game yesterday about, we want people to come here that wants to be a Kentucky and wants to play for Kentucky. Brother, 15 years ago, that would have worked. Maybe. Obviously not under Cal, because people were going to go to Cal regardless. But, 15, 20 years ago, you can pull we want people to be here because they want to be here. I'm sorry. This is not the era to do that. You can't just do we want people to be here just to be here. I would love to have people come here because they want to be at UK. The unfortunate side of NIL and everything is they're not there to be at the university. It's a business decision.
I think a lot of people misunderstood the Calipari effect versus the Kentucky effect for the past however long he was there, 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was all it was definitely the Calipari effect.
Definitely the Calipari effect. And he got all those guys to the NBA. That was the reason they played for him.
Correct. And yes, it helped being at a bigger school like Kentucky to be able to do that.
For sure.
But yeah, it was still the Cal effect. So unfortunately, you can't use we want people to be here because they want to be here, because in the NIL era, it's just not going to happen.
No.
Now, what I think they should be doing is you got to go out and just go get whatever you believe is the best player, or just whoever is the best player. That's who you got to go try to get. And Terrence Jones had a quote, and he was like, part of the reason I picked Kentucky outside of Cal, he said, he said he picked it because of Cal, but now he loves the University of Kentucky. He said, you got to go get people, the best people, and then once they're in your building, teach them to love Kentucky. And that's what you got to do. And I just don't know, if you're truly making budget cuts, you're not going to hire a GM. I just cannot imagine that this roster looks any better this year or next year than it did this year.
Really?
I just can't imagine it. Now, I
Now,
think
granted,
that,
though, beginning of this season, though, on paper, it looked like this team was going to be very good.
well, yeah,
Barring a couple injuries, I do think that that's different. We're telling a different story.
correct. But so here's the thing. You can use the injury to Jalen Lowe as kind of I don't want to say an excuse, but like as a thing to use for this year. Because that was a freak accident in practice that happened. But you knew JQ had a torn ACL coming into this year, and
True,
you
that's
still
true.
got him. You took a risk, and obviously it came back to bite you in the ass. So you knew the risk of that. Jalen Lowe was a freak accident. That happened in practice. Nobody expected it. It just happened. But I don't know. So I look at this team now. If I'm going up and down the roster of people that can return, I think Colin Chandler obviously comes back for another year. I think Cam Williams comes back for another year. These are all the people I think that are probably for sure in to coming back. So Colin Chandler, Cam Williams, Braden Hawthorne, who was a freshman that redshirted all year, probably will be back. I think Andrea Yelovich, as long as I don't know how Pope feels about Yelovich. I really like Yelovich. I think the potential for him is there. But I think Yelovich comes back, and then Malachi Moreno comes back. I think the question marks are Mohamed Diabate, and Jalen Lowe. Because depending on what they do with the transfer portal, I don't think Mo or Jalen are going to want to spend their senior season coming off the bench. Now, if Pope's smart, knowing our track record with point guards, regardless of what you go get at point guard, I think you talk Jalen Lowe into staying. Now, whether he ends up being a starter next year or he does come off the bench, I think you just got to talk just because of your point guard situation for your 2 years here of both of them getting hurt. You got to make sure the depth is built up there. And
Yeah.
so regardless of what you
Good
do at
point.
point guard now, unless Jalen Lowe wants to walk and you can have 2 other point guard options coming in, then you can let him go. And Mo Diabate, I don't know if he's going to want to spend his senior season coming off the bench, pending obviously what they do in the portal. And I think the for sure transfer is going to be Jasper Johnson. I think Jasper, in his heart and probably all around, wants to be at Kentucky because he is a Kentucky guy. The problem is I don't think Pope's going to want him back. And so I think it's going to push him out the door. And which is disappointing because I feel for Jasper. I feel like the talent is there. He can be there. I feel like Pope just killed any bit of confidence he had. He killed it this year. Because anytime Jasper got into the game, if he did one thing wrong, he sat on the bench for the rest of the game. And you can't do that to a player. Like, it just kills all confidence.
Yeah.
You got to I understand at some point you're not going to let him do it for so long if he's not showing signs of improvement. But I can't see the improvement if game in and game out, you're yanking him after one mistake. Like, you got to let him fight through and figure it out on his own a little bit. But I think all those guys return and or transfer. I do think because I believe Bill Self is going to retire, and I think that's going to push him away. And then the NIL deal, I do think Kentucky's going to end up with Tyron Stokes again, for better or worse. I think it's going to be they sign him and essentially give him whatever money he wants because Pope's going to freak out and not have anybody for this class, so he's going to go get him. And again, I'm indifferent on Tyron Stokes. The talent is definitely there, but for me, he's just a LaMelo Ball type where he doesn't seem like he takes anything seriously. And I don't know, with you already kind of being a laughing stock right now, if you can afford to do that. And we saw with whether it was true or not for Michael, if he sat because of his draft or if he was actually hurt. And then we watched Darren Peterson this year. Who's to say Tyron Stokes ain't going to do the same thing? So,
yeah, that's the problem we're having with these top freshmen coming in now. Now, granted, I was saying we're a lot of it this year because this freshman class is very, very good, correct. And maybe we won't see that as much in the next, maybe next few years or something. We're still. I mean, I think you're still going to see it with these top guys who built, these 18-year-olds who think they deserve all this money because they're that good. I mean, again, eventually we're going to have to put some regulations on this shit.
Oh, and then the one I left off, because I kind of hope he just leaves. I know he had a great game, but Brandon Garrison, he already said he wants to come back.
You don't want him?
Pope loves Brandon Garrison, so he's going to come back probably.
You're just got to live with it.
For my sake, I'd rather just see him go, so I don't have to stress about it again next year.
I think you worry too much about that guy. He plays hard,
but
doesn't matter.
Sure.
Okay. I
mean, I guess.
Well, my favorite going forward is now that I think St. John's going to have a lot to prove here. I was, as a Louisville guy and just a fan of coaches and, old time coaches, I guess. Rick Pitino is arguably one of the better coaches ever. Could be the best, other than if you want to take out Coach K, I guess. But I mean, for me, I like St. John's. Honestly, this Duke game is very winnable for them. So yeah.
All right, so let's dive into it. Second chance. Here we go.
Second chance.
So let's Duke St. John's. Let's just dive right into it. Are we gonna rock with St. John's?
I rock with St. John's in this game. I really do.
I'm with it.
Yeah. I think Duke's shown some weakness in this tournament, definitely with the depth at the guard position. And if St. John's can dig into him a little bit, I think Duke
St. John's also
backs down.
Isn't afraid to get physical with Duke.
That's what I mean. If they dig into him a little bit, I think they kind of back down. And I think it's very possible St. John's wins that game. I think that's the
difference. The difference in this game where Duke could take advantage is Duke's a better shooting team.
They are.
So if they get open and get loose from three, St. John's doesn't have the shooters to match.
No, but I would say St. John's defense is going to be suffocating. If you know anything about Rick Pitino's teams, the defense is going to be suffocating.
All right, let's go right below it. We got Michigan State and UConn.
UConn.
Yeah, I think UConn wins this.
I think honestly pretty easy.
Easy.
I think
Michigan State's tough.
They are tough. But I think UConn honestly wins by like 10 to 15.
Okay. All right. Let's go the Corn rivalry.
Just fucking could you imagine before this fucking season you'd say we have a Sweet 16 game of Iowa versus Nebraska?
No.
I mean, that's
so
crazy.
So what's funny is somebody made a post about this because they said these Sweet 16 Elite 8, this is in Houston. And so they were like, Houston's essentially playing a home game for this weekend, but they were like, I don't think they're ready for Cornamania.
For that game, I
think Nebraska wins.
I think Nebraska go ahead and I think they go ahead and win that one.
Listen, Iowa and Nebraska,
Florida thing, but
Iowa and Nebraska's played twice this year. Yeah. Both games were good. Were good games. Let me pull them up right here. So the first time these two met, so when they met earlier, so Iowa got them at Iowa 57-52 in that game. And then Nebraska beat Iowa at home, but it took overtime. So this should be a good game, but something tells me I've watched Nebraska in their first two games. They play really well as a team. And something tells me Nebraska's going to, I don't want to say blow them out, but this could be a 10 to 15 point win for Nebraska.
I just have a hard time believing that because of the way Iowa just beat Florida.
Yeah, but for me, for games like that, that's your Super Bowl. So like, I don't know how much more Iowa can give you is my thing.
Okay.
Houston and Illinois should be a good game, but I think Houston wins this one. Arizona, Arkansas. I don't know if this game is as close as people are thinking.
No, Arizona, I think, wins by a lot.
Like, I get it. Arkansas
some fits.
Arkansas is everybody's favorite team right now because Darius Acuff is everybody's favorite player right now.
Yep.
But Arkansas just doesn't have the size and the physicality to match Arizona. Texas and Purdue. The Texas little Cinderella run has been great, but I think Purdue wins this one.
Yeah, Purdue's been actually looking pretty good. Which is still a team.
I mean,
though. I don't know.
They're just one of those teams that it's ever since their conference tournament, the Big Ten tournament, they flipped a switch now, and they're a way different team than what they looked like in the regular season. Michigan, Alabama. I think Michigan wins this one, moves forward, and then Tennessee, Iowa State. I think Iowa State moves forward with this one. So we have our Elite Eight. So we have a St. John's UConn rematch for the fourth time now this year.
Give me St. John's, baby.
Yep, I think St. John's gets it done.
I mean,
again.
Ricky P's owned them the past two games they've played, and I think give me St. John's.
All right, and then Nebraska, Houston. The Nebraska storyline's been great, but I think Houston wins this one. Let's just go across here. Michigan, Iowa State. I will say if Jordan Jefferson truly is not going to play the rest of this tournament,
Michigan,
it hurts their chances.
It does.
If Jefferson was playing, this game is a lot closer, and probably I would be hesitant to pick Iowa State, but I wouldn't be, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But without that, I think Michigan wins, and then Arizona. Purdue. I do think Arizona ends up winning this one. Yeah. All right, so we'll stick over here. The Johnnies versus Houston.
I think Houston actually probably does win that one, but as much as I want St. John's to win that as a fan, but I think Houston.
I think the teams are very similar. Just because they're not afraid to get physical. They're both defensive oriented teams, but the difference is Houston can actually shoot.
Right. Yep.
And then Michigan, Arizona on the other side. I still think Arizona wins this one.
Yep.
I mean, Arizona has just shown us nothing that would, and honestly, I'm still picking Arizona over Houston to win the Natty because Arizona's shown me nothing to make me even be hesitant to pick against them still.
Yeah. No, they were my pre-tournament pick too, so individually. But yeah, there you go.
So
after the
basically
first
our
weekend.
same. Well, no, because we had Duke in Florida, so same on the other side, but new Final Four teams on the left side of the bracket. So we got the Johnnies and Houston, with Houston playing Arizona in the Natty, Arizona winning the national championship.
There you go. All right, so we talked about blue bloods earlier. Let's talk about another blue blood, North Carolina. Do they fire Hubie?
I think you have to. I think it's been too long. If we're going to be real with ourselves, the only thing that saved Hubie this long is the fact that they went to the national title back in 22 against Kansas. And let's be real, he did that with Roy Williams' team. And ever since then, it's been not so great for North Carolina. They haven't really recruited the greatest. I mean, they've had decent recruiting and transfer portals, but not to the ability that you would think a North Carolina would. And listen, I said this yesterday. You were shocked that I said it. We're going to be completely 100% real. When you're taking everything into perspective, North Carolina is probably the best job in the country to have.
I still think that's a freaking hot take.
I think it's North Carolina, Kentucky, and Duke. But when you're taking everything into perspective, Duke's the same way, but North Carolina is, and Kentucky kind of is too. They're kind of, I don't want to say transitioning, but they're more open. North Carolina's a strict basketball school.
Yeah.
So everything money-wise and everything is going to go to basketball.
Yeah.
Now, again, Duke's the same way. Duke's a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more open than North Carolina when it comes to football because they've actually had some good years. Same with Kentucky. Now, I think with the new era of Kentucky, they're more open to, giving a little bit more money to the football team with Will Stein and them. But for North Carolina, they went and got Bill Belichick and everything, and you had that crazy-ass storyline all season. But it's strictly basketball, and it's Jordan Brand. And you have the history. Your history stacks up with everybody else's history. And you look at the players that have been through there and everything. I mean, Carolina, if you don't believe it's the top job in the country, which is fine, it is 100% one of the top 3, top 2 jobs in the country.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that. Now you're saying clear cut, best job in the country, no question.
I wouldn't say clear cut, but I think it is the best job in the country.
Okay.
To me, if every college job was open, the North Carolina job is the best job.
Okay.
To me. So now that, leans into if they fire Hubie, where do they go? Yeah, I mean, you're North Carolina. The problem with North Carolina is they're going to have to change their philosophy for coaches. And when I say that is, when you look at their history, they've kind of kept everything in-house in terms of they've always hired North Carolina guys to be North Carolina coaches. And I think you got to kind of get away from that. So, I mean, you got to just go spend big. I think you got to go all or nothing. So even if you go back to Roy Williams, he came from Kansas, but he was an assistant under Dean Smith for 10 years. So they've kept everything kind of in-house. And, obviously going to Hubert. Hubert was Roy Williams' pick, but I think you got to get away from it because I don't know if you have a person that has North Carolina ties that's ready to take the North Carolina job. So I think you got to swing big. I think you start off with going to Todd Golden at Florida. Try to see if you could swing him to come to North Carolina. I think the next line of guys that you asked, TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State. I think you still go to Nate Oates at Alabama.
Nate Oates has to be on there.
I think you still go to Dan Hurley at UConn. From what the only reason I'm hesitant to say, not hesitant, but Nate Oates would definitely get a call. But from what I'm hearing is if Bill Self retires, Nate Oates may be heading to Kansas.
Good fit
as his replacement.
Yep.
But yeah, I think you go TJ Otzelberger, Nate Oates, Todd Golden. I think the other two names that are kind of low key that I think you got to give at least a call to if all else fails. Grant McCasland at Texas Tech, who's done a great job at Texas Tech. And then Mark Byington at Vanderbilt would be another, if you want to kind of go the young route out like if Todd Golden doesn't go. Byington at Vanderbilt's done a great job. And I think he's one of the up-and-coming great coaches.
Todd Golden at North Carolina might be a cheat code.
Yeah.
Give him that NIL money that they'll probably get and his coaching. Whew,
yeah.
Bad news for the AC.
Yeah, and honestly, even Dan Hurley at North Carolina.
Yeah. He's already won 2 natties at Newcomb.
2 natties, and I mean, we're talking. There's potential. I mean, he can make a run here again, and potentially play or potentially be in the run for another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, and you know, you can go back, and people are going to say if people think Kentucky's the top job. Well, if Dan Hurley didn't take the Kentucky job, why would he take North Carolina? Might be a different scenario now, but I mean, yeah, I think you got to swing for the fence. You got to go outside, because if you go in-house with the North Carolina way, you're looking at guys like Jerry Stackhouse, who wasn't a great coach at Vanderbilt. So I can't imagine if you weren't a good coach at Vanderbilt, I can't imagine you're going to be a good coach at North Carolina. I'm not sure if they really have anybody on the staff currently that'd be ready to take over that responsibility. So I don't know. I think you have to swing big, and you have to go for somebody that's ready. Like that's known. So Todd Golden would be number one without a doubt. Like, I would open up, if I was North Carolina, I would hand him a blank check and say, you write your price and we got you. Because I'll tell you, North Carolina with a very good basketball coach is a dangerous thing for not only the ACC, but for the rest of college basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. And you think it could happen as soon as like this year, right?
Oh, like, yeah. I think they're going to make their decision on Hubie probably sometime this week.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Because I think they're going to want to get it done, especially before the tournament, so that way they can get into the transfer portal, get into some of these guys that are on the team currently if they want to keep or let them go. Yeah, I think the decision will probably come this week.
Okay. Well, keep your eyes out, folks. We'll see. All right. Well, transitioning from that word, coming next topic outside of basketball. Flag football, quite a different topic here, but had some drama with a little Tom Brady, a little Logan Paul drama that was probably made up anyways, because he came out and apologized.
It was all for show. Let's be
for real. Show. And Logan Paul knows him and his brother, the ultimate marketers, performers. They know exactly what they're doing. And Tom Brady and him.
Tom Brady's not a dumb man himself.
No, he gets it.
But
they're trying to put a traction onto this flag football thing.
Correct. But let's talk about the other side of what happened this weekend. So they did essentially Team USA versus, they put together 2 other teams and did kind of a tournament style. Now the Team USA is what actually is like what I guess what you would say is professional flag football players. And then the other 2 teams were put together of celebrity / NFL players. And that Team USA put belt to ass on the NFL players. And if you remember a couple years ago when they announced that flag football was going to be an Olympic sport now, the flag football, the professional flag football quarterback, what was his name? USA, what was his name? Yeah, Daryl Doucette, he came out and he said, I remembered his last name, I just couldn't remember his first name. He came out and was like, I'm better than Patrick Mahomes when it comes to flag football. And, all of us, myself included, were like, you're fucking insane. But as we saw on Sunday, now obviously Patrick Mahomes not playing in this, he may have a point, because they, like I said, they literally destroyed the NFL players. Now, my rebuttal to all this would be, if you watched, and now I didn't watch, but I went through and watched kind of a lot of highlights / I did watch a little bit of it. I went back. Now, I will say the NFL players, as they got deeper into the event, started picking up on what they could and couldn't do and what the rules were and everything. And you could see that the game was starting to switch a little bit in terms of, but the game was so far ahead, where USA was so far ahead, it didn't matter. So I would say probably give the NFL guys a year or 2 before the Olympics of learning what the rules are and learning what they can and can't do. the NFL guys are going to be the better option. But in the meantime, if they're not ready, you got to send out these professional flag football players.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff they were doing, like just in terms of like in game, these NFL players were just not ready for.
Well, like you're saying, though, it's just a different game, though. Like it's the strategy is completely different than what they would be used to in like 11-on-11, tackle full pad football. So, like you said, I think it's just going to take time for them to learn. And once they do, they're still the best athletes out in the world.
Correct.
For football. So, I mean, there's no chance in hell you don't put like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, these guys out there on the fucking field.
I mean, hell, even the guys that don't play, because, I mean, did you see Odell's catch this weekend?
No.
I mean, Odell was doing Odell things.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, even older players are still out there balling. I mean, it's just these guys are freak athletes, especially at the receiver position where that's all flag football is. So
it's all skill position based.
Yeah, it's all skill position. And you give Tom Brady but some time to figure that out, he probably going to figure it out too.
And that's really the other storyline of this weekend was, granted it's flag football, how good Tom Brady really still looked.
Well, he's still in shape. He keeps himself in shape.
Somebody made a tweet after the flag football event. They were like, Phillip Rivers at 44 came out of retirement and was a great story. Tom Brady could probably come out of retirement and still win MVP.
Yeah, if I'm Indy, I'm giving him a call right now. I got a bad quarterback situation right now. You want to come play for Indy for a little bit?
I would love that.
Make some amends for the Patriots.
I could also see where Brady goes, all right, I'm going to come back. I'm going to play for the Raiders, and I'm going to play the full year, and Mendoza's going to sit behind me and just learn.
Full-line coach, like longest yard. What you do? Get your old ass in there.
But yeah, I mean, Brady looked fantastic. I know Bengals fans were on the edge of their seat watching every movement Joe Burrow made.
Joe
and just
Burrow
kinda,
just waiting. I know they're waiting for him to hurt something, dude. That'd be just their luck, wouldn't it?
I mean, but yeah, I mean, the NFL guys were impressive, don't get me wrong, but it was just a shocker to see these flag football guys just flat out dominate them.
It's like playing another sport. It really is. Like, yes, you can still be an athlete and still be good, just like any other sport. But to be compete at a high level against these guys who've played the sport their entire lives, it's completely different. But like you said, athleticism will transfer to this game. They just have to learn how to play it. And maybe it's a mix. Maybe it's a mix between some NFL players and some professional flag football players. And that's our Team USA. And we go out and there just completely fucking dominate everybody. So that's ultimately what I think happens. They just make it a mix. And you have guys that know the strategy. Plus, you have the freak athletes out there in NFL. Like, here, just do this.
Yeah, I think that's what does end up happening. I think the first year, at least, we'll get probably a little bit of a mix of guys. And then probably by 2032, at that Olympics, you'll probably see more NFL guys for the flag football event.
Probably. NFL might turn flag for long.
I mean, it's very possible. All right, last subject of the day. Let's talk about NBA expansion. The league came out and said they are officially going to talk about expansion going into this year's league meetings at the end of the season. And they said it could come as early as 2028. So the two teams that are probably going to be expanded on is Vegas and Seattle. Yep. So here's my take on it. I don't think the league can afford to expand, and not money-wise they can't afford to, because Vegas and Seattle both would be very wealthy franchises in terms of big market, but you don't have enough talent in the league to expand. Like, we're talking about teams, tanking and whatnot as is. You got teams like the Brooklyn Nets and all them that just haven't been good for how long, no matter if they've been tanking or not. But you're telling me adding two more teams now, it's just gonna be a good product still? I just can't believe it. I don't think there's enough talent, big time talent, to expand. And you already have an issue now. So my thing would be, let's not expand. Let's get rid of two teams and put in Vegas and Seattle instead. I don't think, like, let's be real, and no disrespect to these guys, these cities or anything going on, but I don't think we're going to be upset if we got rid of teams like the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, if we're going to add, I'm all for adding Seattle because I want to see the Supersonics back. It'd be great.
It would be
I'm
cool.
all for adding a team in Vegas. I think the team in Vegas would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's going to work regardless.
But I just don't think you can expand to 32 teams. I think 30 is about your cap. And if you're going to add two teams, we got to get rid of two teams.
I don't disagree. The only thing I do disagree with a little bit is the talent situation. I do think there's maybe more talent. It's just it's front loaded talent on certain teams, which I'm not saying will change, but it may spread out a little bit. I'm more concerned, and I like your idea about let's take 2 teams out and put those 2 teams in. That makes sense. I'm more worried about not less the talent, more of the talent situation. I'm more worried about they're just in a bad spot as is. Viewership's already down. I'm sure money's down. I mean, and you're talking about expanding to do what? I mean, nobody's watching as is. You think adding 2 more teams is going to just spread the load out to try and let people watch more? I just don't see it. And if you're saying what you're saying is right about the talent situation, that's going to make it 10 times worse. Because now you're going to watch these teams suck even more than like the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, and that's my point. So, like, if you look at who's like, low in the NBA, like in terms of like the Kings, the Jazz, the Wizards, the Pacers, the Nets, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, Dallas is very marketable, so I won't include Dallas, but they're down there right now in terms of standings right now. Indiana's down there right now, but we know why, because of no Halliburton. But like these other teams, like they're bad for a reason. And whether they've been whether you want to say they're tanking or have been tanking, like when was the last time, like when in the last time of my life I could consistently say, outside of the couple years we had with KD and Kyrie and Harden, the Nets haven't been good since about 2007. So, so now we're going to talk about who can keep 9 in an expansion draft. Every team can keep 9 players. The rest go into an expansion draft. You're going to tell me out of that expansion draft, I'm just going to get great players to go, or good, I'm going to get good enough players for this Seattle and LA, Las Vegas team? Like, I just don't think that there's enough talent. And the other thing is, if you're going to keep Memphis in there, Draymond made a good point the other day. If you're going to keep Memphis in the NBA, why don't we just move Memphis to Nashville?
Yeah.
Put them in a bigger city.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you look at the lowest, like, according to this, I just looked, the least profitable NBA teams right now are the LA Clippers, the Memphis Grizzlies, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Charlotte Hornets. You can get rid of one of those 2 teams. And like I said, Memphis and New Orleans could be the 2 for all I care, because it's already stupid enough that they're considered Western Conference teams when they're clearly on the East Coast, essentially. But, I mean, I don't think you can afford to expand. I think there's 30 teams is about your cap of where you could go, and there's not enough talent to expand to 32.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a horrible idea, just all around. This actually will go to show, or this goes to show that the leadership in the NBA has no fucking clue what they're doing. They have no clue how to fix their problem, and the NBA is a dying sport. It's a dying sport.
And all this does is, if you add Seattle and Vegas, those 2 teams are going to be, I don't want to say hot commodities to want to go to, but because they're big cities, Seattle's got the, the history behind it as well.
Yeah.
And Vegas is Vegas.
Yep.
You're going to have more players that want to go there. So now all this does is make teams like Utah, Brooklyn, Memphis, New Orleans, it makes them worse than they already are.
Worse, right?
So, now flip, let's talk about Seattle and Vegas. Here'd be my question. So when when the Thunder moved from Seattle to Oklahoma to create the Oklahoma City Thunder. So technically right now the Thunder have all the Supersonics, team history behind it. So if the Supersonics become a team again, does Oklahoma City give up all the history behind it?
No, you have to.
I don't think you have to. They don't technically have to.
I think they will.
It's a team agreement thing, because when the Charlotte Hornets moved to New Orleans, and they were the New Orleans Hornets, and then they reopened the team in Charlotte again and made them the Bobcats originally. It was a dispute, but New Orleans gave their history back to Charlotte. But technically teams don't have to, but I think morally it's probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think they will.
And listen, I'd love to see Seattle with another team. I'd love to see the Supersonics back.
Those jerseys were sick.
When I started watching basketball, and NBA basketball, the Sonics weren't that good to like really watch, because they were just coming off of losing Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis. Because Ray Allen went to Boston, Rashard Lewis went to Orlando. They weren't that good, and we got like 1 or 2 years of them having Kevin Durant before they moved to Oklahoma City. So we didn't get to really experience that.
Yeah, but you had guys like Gary Payton was there.
Well, yeah, but that was before my time.
But wait. I mean, I'm just saying, like, the history was rich. I mean,
yeah. And Seattle's a hoops town.
Yeah, that, and like, jersey sales are important. Those Supersonic jerseys, those old school ones, were so fucking cool. Everybody had one of those growing up, I feel like. So it was like, That's a part of it. And then you don't even have to talk about Vegas. That's just its own thing. Every team that's gone there has done fantastic. So it's like,
except for the Raiders, but
well, they're came from Oakland. They gotta get past that history first.
We'll see what the Athletics do when they get there. We'll see how they. I mean, if you're talking about like the Golden Knights have been phenomenal. So yeah, I'm all for a team in Vegas and Seattle, but I think if you're gonna add two teams, we gotta get rid of two teams.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think that does it for this episode. We've went a little longer than normal. A lot to talk about. So remember, if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, give us a follow. If you didn't, we really don't give a shit. We'll see you later.